Hello. There will be a limit when we start to ask you for donations, and I'm going to all donate generously. We've done a really good job supporting candidates this year through our political action committee and had a really positive result in the legislature, as you can imagine. So, there you go. So, this is from Governor Inslee, the State of Washington proclamation. Whereas social workers have served Washingtonians since the 19th century, and whereas social workers help our most vulnerable neighbors address their health, safety needs, and enhance their human condition, and whereas social workers help people who struggle with substance use disorders, mental health, and family and child welfare issues, and whereas social workers proactively address marginalization, oppression, diversity, social policy, and community empowerment, and whereas social workers are the key to success in diverse settings such as schools, universities, hospitals, and hospice, government agencies, private businesses, and nonprofit organizations. And whereas many social workers have served the Washington State Legislature, including our representatives Eric Pettigrew and Tina Orwell. And whereas social workers support the courage, strength, and determination of people to succeed in life and celebrate the human spirit. Now, therefore, I, Jay Inslee, Governor of the State of Washington, do hereby proclaim March 2019 as Social Work Month in Washington. I encourage all people in our state to join me in this special observance. So I don't know if any of you know about this, but we sponsor this huge event called Lobby Day in Olympia. January students join us. There's about 150 students plus from all over our state. We are really, really lucky to partner with the universities to have this happen. But this year, part of our process is we have to stuff those 150 envelopes with all of the things we put together to give out to the students. And there was a huge snowstorm. Now, there's a social worker in the room who did this with his wife, who is on the committee. He is not on the committee, and he probably doesn't know he's getting this. But Robert Strauss, I would like to present you with this award of appreciation.
Those of you that don't know Robert, he was a 1976 graduate of the University of Washington School of Social Work. And he spent his entire career working with children and youth in residential treatment. There's not too many people that can spend their entire career doing that because it's really, really hard work. Congratulations, Robert. I really hope that you've enjoyed your meal. Definitely there's still some cake, so help yourself to cake. And thank you to Bay Laurel Catering for the delicious meal. Really, really good. Now for the awards. And I do have to just give a quick disclaimer. Some of these awards look like the Leaning Tower of Jesus, so I think they're coming a little unstuck. So we will, if you're a recipient and it seems a little loose, we'll make sure they're fixed. I'd like to call Emily Tillison, who is the president-elect of NASW. She will be taking over in June. I'm going to ask her to come on back up and present Social Worker of the Year Award on behalf of NASW Washington State Chapter to Susan Smith.
Barry does.
The Social Worker of the Year Award is given to those who exemplify the best of the profession's values and achievements. It's awarded to an individual who has made an impact, a significant impact in the profession. Dr. Susan Smith, MSW, PhD, LICSW, has been preparing the next generation of social workers for over 20 years, and she's been a social worker for even longer. So we won't say how much longer. She is completing her final year as the Dean of the William School of Social Work and Sociology at Walla Walla University. Susan has served on so many boards, it is impossible to name them all. A couple of highlights include her long service as a board member and board president of the Blue Mountain Action Council, the largest community action agency in Southeast Washington. She was a founding board member for our local free dental and health clinic. And for well over 10 years, she has spent a week every summer outside of Seattle serving at Reach Camp, an organization that serves children living with HIV/AIDS and their families. Susan holds clinical licenses in the states of Florida and Washington and provides mental health first aid trainings in Eastern Washington. Susan is often what is called an early adopter. She is eager to try new ideas, new innovations, especially if it supports social justice. She has greatly contributed to social work in the Northwest and to social work education. Today, this award is given to a person with the very highest standards, who has lived in the values of social work her entire career. It is my great pleasure to present the Social Worker of the Year Award to my friend, my colleague, and my boss, Dr. Susan Smith.
Between the time I was in social work school, practicing social work, or teaching social work, that's almost my entire adult life. Longer than I've been married, longer than I've been a parent. My identification with the profession is, cellular. And it's been a happy association. Sometimes angering, these have been difficult political days for us as social workers, but for the most part, it's been a wonderful journey for the profession of social work to be so integral to who I am as an individual. I remember, I'll say around 1980, when I was an undergraduate, when I applied for my first student membership in the NASW. And I remember feeling like that was a real sign that I was a true grown-up. And I got my little card and everything. And I remember after being a clinician for, probably 10 years or so, I used to love then to read all the jobs, and I would think, oh no, I'm qualified for these jobs. And the upcoming edition of the Advocate, our little school in Walla Walla, we're going to have a little feature of the next generation of social workers that we're training. So NASW has been right along in the journey throughout my career as well. And as we have been training the next generation, I will say, as those of you who are closer to my age, is the profession's in good hands. And we're looking forward to the young people who are coming out to continue to serve and advocate for clients. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Susan. It's really nice to see someone who's dedicated their entire career to social work. Now, I would like to invite Barbara Louie, Alana Honeyman to the podium to present Social Work Educator of the Year Award on behalf of the NASW Washington chapter. This year we are awarding an incredible team of educators at Seattle University. Dr. Mary Kay Brennan, Dr. Hai Kung Kang, and Reba Zen.
Thank you. Alana and I staff the Center for Clinical Excellence at Therapeutic Health Services. We nominated the recipients of this year's Educators of the Year Award, a trio of leaders from Seattle University social work programs. Dr. Hai Kung Kang, Associate Professor and chair of the NSW program. Reva Zapp, clinical professor and field director, and Dr. Mary K. Brennan, clinical professor and director of the BSW program.
So, Therapeutic Health Services is an agency with a mission to foster healing and recovery. THS has offices from Everett to Seattle to Kent to Bellevue, with services for youth, families, and adults. We support those with mental health and substance use disorders who experience trauma, homelessness, systemic oppression, and lack of access to basic resources. As clinical social workers, Barb and I are committed to providing community mental health and substance use disorder services to underserved populations. The Center for Clinical Excellence at THS supports interns across a variety of disciplines, including social work, medical, counseling, psychology, and chemical dependency. We supervise interns in their agency practicums as they begin to develop their professional identities and learn to apply the skills needed to work in this critical field. It is through this work that Barb and I have come to know and appreciate the recipients of this award. The social work programs at Seattle University have shown a commitment to social justice and training quality clinicians. They provide challenging coursework with a clinical focus that prepares students to work in this field. Seattle University's MSW program, for example, early on recognized the importance of providing education for its students to work toward their chemical dependency professional certification. This attention to the specific needs of the community leads to graduates who are well prepared for social work practice. These programs have been an excellent match for the needs of our agency.
Bear with us. We actually have a lot to say about these three wonderful recipients, and we worked hard on this. The social work programs at Seattle University are an important resource to our region by providing, as Alana said, competent, well-trained social workers to the field. The resumes of all three of this year's award detail many years of significant contributions to social work education and practice. If I had an hour minimum to talk about all they have done, it still wouldn't be enough time. Dr. Mary K. Brennan earned her MSW at the University of Michigan and DSW at St. Catherine University and University of St. Thomas. Her social work practice has included Edmond School District, Divorce Lifeline, Lutheran Social Services, Luther Child Center, and more. She is a current member of the Association of Baccalaureate Social Work Program Directors, the Council on Social Work Education, and the NASW. Since 2006, Dr. Brennan has worked to develop and refine the BSW program at SU. Embodied in her many years leading SU's BSW program are her strong values and commitment to quality education and training, social justice, and community.
Reva Zapp earned her MSW at the University of Washington. Prior to her appointment at SU, she served as lead juvenile probation counselor at King County Superior Court. Her work within the court system, which also includes King County Juvenile Court, spanned 21 years. For 10 years prior to this, she worked for DSHS in Child Protective Services and Child Welfare Services. Since 2006, Reva has been at the helm of field placements for the BSW and MSW students. As a clinical professor, she's also taught in the classroom. Reva has shown dedication as field placement director and professor to ensure that students and practicum instructors are provided the tools they need to succeed.
Dr. Kang earned her MSW and PhD at the University of Washington. Go Dogs. Prior to her appointment at SU, she was on the faculty at Smith College School for Social Work from 2008 to 2015 and Fordham University from 2005 to 2008. Locally, her social work practice has included Asian Counseling and Referral Service, Seattle Public Schools, Seattle Rate Relief, Big Sisters of King County, Southeast Youth and Family Services, and Highland Evaluation and Treatment Facility, to name just a few. Her list of publications and professional scholarly presentations is extensive. They reflect her values and commitment to social work education, clinical social work practice, communities of color, anti-racism and anti-bias, immigrants and refugees, and survivors of violence and trauma. Dr. Kang came to SU 3 years ago to help create and establish the NASW program. Already the program, under her leadership, is in its third and final year of the accreditation process with the CSWE. That is no small feat.
So over the past several years, we have supervised interns from the BSW and MSW programs at Seattle University. These students have come to practicum well prepared by their classroom education, with enthusiasm about the work, and with the critical social justice lens necessary to engage responsibly as social workers. They are compassionate, astute, and energetic. We believe these students are a reflection of the leadership of the Seattle University program, beginning with student recruitment and continuing through to graduation. Upon their graduation, their students are well prepared to enter the field. Additionally, these leaders in the Seattle University social work programs have shown a strong commitment to their field partners. They offer orientation training and continuing education opportunities throughout the year to ensure that clinical and task supervisors have the skills and support to provide their students with an excellent field experience. As supervisors, we have been supported fully by the leaders in these programs. In this way, their commitment to education expands beyond their students to include providing education for the entire community of social workers across the Seattle area who work with their students.
Okay, here we go. It is for all these reasons, and many that we did not have time to address tonight, that we nominated the leadership team at Seattle University. Please join us in congratulating the Educators of the Year, Dr. Hei-Ken Kang, Reba Zek, and Dr. Mary Kay Brand. Thank you.
Right here too.
Instructors and field instructors, and I hope that you'll continue to do this. And for people that you know who are not currently practicum instructors, encourage them to do it. It is so satisfying to be a practicum instructor and really help the next generation, as Dr. Smith said.
Congratulations to you all. Looking forward to Seattle University getting your accreditation. I'd like to now call Emily Tillotson to the podium to present the Lifetime Achievement Public Citizen Award on behalf of NASW Washington State Chapter to Mr. Federico Maynard-Reed.
The work of social workers is collaborative, and tonight we honor a great social work fan and collaborator. The award for Public Citizen of the Year accentuates this point, recognizing a person outside the profession of social work who has exemplified the values and ethics of social work. This person must demonstrate powerful leadership and acts with courage and verve. This person must be outstanding. Dr. Pedrito Maynard Reed has been teaching, training, and organizing for greater diversity and inclusion in Walla Walla nationally and internationally his entire career. He began teaching in Jamaica in the 1970s and then worked in Puerto Rico for 5 years before moving to the US in the 1980s. When he and his wife moved to Walla Walla, they joined a small community of people of color in the region. Pedrito dedicated himself to transforming the community and launched initiatives to build support and affirmation for folks of color. He also worked to build large-scale events to celebrate and educate about diversity, equity, inclusion, and the civil rights movement. Over time, he and a small group of activists built the largest Martin Luther King Day event in the region and attended every year by hundreds of people. Pedrito's CV boasts 40 years of dedication and service to the goals of social justice and building what Martin Luther King called the beloved community. Dr. Maynard Reed's focus for the majority of his work has been to the work of diversity throughout his life. Being raised in Jamaica and coming to the United States, he became a minister and then an educator in religion. He is currently the assistant to the professor for diversity at Walla Walla University and also the chair of the Diversity Council, making him a prominent spokesperson for diversity in Walla Walla. He is a member of the Walla Walla Diversity Coalition and the National Association of Diversity Officers in Higher Education. He is always thinking of new ways to integrate diversity into education and to recenter the focus of higher education to include the voices of the most marginalized. He has interwoven his work as a minister and an educator with a focus towards diversity. It is with great honor that I present the Lifetime Achievement Public Citizen Award on behalf of the National Association of Social Work Washington Chapter to Dr. Pedrito Maynard Reed.
When I received the email about you have been chosen, you have won, I said, this is a hoax. This is one of these sweepstake things. I win $1 million. This can't be true. You know, so I called the executive director. She said, it's real. It's real. You deserve it. I didn't know what to do with myself. But you see, I believe in this. I've always believed in this. I've been teaching and training ministers for the gospel since 1970. But I've always told them that ministry is not in some pulpit preaching about Jesus died for your sins. Yeah, that may be true. But when I read the gospel, when Jesus stood in that synagogue in Nazareth, he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach good news to the poor.
Right.
Did I get an amen up there? To heal the brokenhearted, to deliverance to the captive, the making of sight to the blind, the minoritized, and the marginalized. Jesus was a social worker. And I have committed myself for these last 50 years to making sure that those who stand in the pulpit and those who claim to be Christians, and now I go every year to Thailand, so I tell the same thing to the Buddhists. You need to be real with people who are on the margins. It can't be in the ivory towers. People are hurting every day, and we must speak good news and powerful news and hopeful news to those that social workers do, and also at the same time challenge the powerful, whether they be in the White House or they be in the government. Listen, I have 2 minutes, and I'm just about to make it. Thank you very much, and my dear friend, Emily, who has worked so tirelessly to make that Martin Luther King Day possible, and to be my right hand at the Diversity Council, and to challenge our little community there in Walla Walla to be better because of just that dedication to social justice. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, all of you, for this wonderful honor.
Wonderful work that you've been doing in Walla Walla. I'd like to now invite Ann Allen to the podium to present the Public Citizen of the Year Award to Mr. Andre Taylor on behalf of the NASW Washington State Chapter.
Andre Taylor is the brother of Che Taylor, who was killed by Seattle police at a traffic stop. Che was a black person, and this shooting was on the verge of becoming Seattle's Ferguson moment. Andre came to Seattle from Los Angeles, and his first words to Seattle were intended as a rallying cry, but they dropped like a bomb. As Danny Westmead said at the Seattle Times, Andre said, "I'm here to go to war," in a news conference. "I will be unrelenting to get justice for my little brother." But the war Andre Taylor ended up fighting, the one he says envisioned all along, turned out to be a tour de force of bridge building and community organizing. Andre began building bridges in the community, which led to the founding of Not This Time, an initiative I-94, which passed in November of 2018.
Yes.
The initiative changes the law regarding the police use of deadly force and to make it easier to prosecute officers in the case of a bad fatal shooting. There was no accountability for police before this time. It also increases de-escalation training and mental health training for our police officers. Andre was instrumental in changing the law in Washington State that made it all but impossible to prosecute officers involved in deadly shootings. We have disproportionately affected communities of color for a long, long time when it comes to policing. Andre Taylor has changed the climate of this deadly police shooting, not only in Seattle, but across our entire state. Andre was a speaker at our NASW Lobby Day on Martin Luther King Day in 2018. He's eloquent and very kind and very personable. He's demonstrated incredible community organizing skills for the betterment of communications and communities throughout our state, specifically for our communities of color. NASW Washington helped to support this fight throughout, along with our wonderful lobbyist, Bob Cooper. It is reported that Andre might be planning to make a similar police reforms nationally, but we don't know for sure. Congratulations, Andre. I want to say to you more than that. You've taken the grief from your brother's death, and you found a purpose, and you've given all of us a gift of change. And if we ever think not one person can change things, we should look to you.
Amen.
And I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Ann. Ann's been so supportive for several years. I appreciate her passion, her love for people. I get calls from all over the country, and people are asking, how did you guys do that? How did you do what has been impossible for our country to do. How did you make that happen? I said, well, I was believing in the American people. They said, really? I said, yes, I believe in the American people. What I believe is that if you bring all communities together, they said, well, how do you do that? Well, you have to have cultural sensitivity. You have to understand different communities and be willing to learn when they teach you. So we went out to natives, we went out to Latinos, we went out to black churches, we went out to unions, and we have expressed to them that we've been working separate for too many years and we need each other more than ever now. I said what I experienced with my brother being killed was the most devastating thing that had ever happened to me. And one of the reasons I created Not This Time is because I said, if it's in my reach, another family will never have to go through what we experienced. We were fighting each other because of our trauma, taking out things on each other. Never had any support around. And so with Not This Time, we were able to create a system where if a family has a tragedy like that, we can put other families around them for the support. We put legal teams around these other families. There's a very high-profile killing that you might know of, Charlene Allows. She was a pregnant mother of 4, and she was killed in front of her children. Well, they called us that day, and we were able to go and put support and put legal teams and allow them to grieve, because let me tell you, it is very difficult to grieve and fight at the same time.
Yes.
So we told these families, and we represent like 10 families that have experienced these tragedies. And we told them, as we go forward, we want you to understand this. What we're doing is not anti-police, it's pro-community.
Yeah, that's right.
And one of the wonderful things that I see is that these families that have just lost their loved ones, when another family incurred that same problem, those families would go, when they just lost their own loved ones, and support and pick up those other families, just to see the sacrifice of these families have been beautiful. And it's those families' voices that are at the forefront that are allowing us to create history in this country. Washington State today is the first state that has police accountability in the whole nation. And we hope to take that across the country.
Congratulations. Well deserved.
As Ann said, one person can make an incredible difference in this world. And as social workers, we know that. Sometimes we don't get to see the results of our work. And we never know. But we can know. It's an incredible power that we have. Thank you again. We're now going to take a little break from our awards ceremony, and I'd like to introduce and give a warm welcome to our attorney, Bob Ferguson. He was our Public Citizen of the Year award winner last year, and I believe he's continued to do the same stellar work for the state of Washington. So please welcome our Attorney General, Bob Ferguson.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me. Congratulations to all the award winners, which is so inspiring. And it's true, thanks for the award last year. I couldn't make it to the dinner last year. I think I was out of town, so it's great to be invited back to see you all. And really, to say just 2 words is my main message. I have a few remarks, but thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do and the difference you make in the lives of so many people in our communities here in Washington State and across our state. And my wife and I are parents of 11-year-old kids. They just turned 11, Jack and Katie, twins. And my friend Cliff Curry from King County Council days, met them when they were in strollers back then. Right? As the times go by.
I'm getting old.
Exactly. We're all good, yeah. And So today, I left work a little bit early to go home. Katie's into softball. She's trying to become a softball pitcher. You know, they got that big wind-up they do. It's, I don't know how they do it, but she's into it. She's on a team, and her first game of the season is tomorrow, and they're playing their main rivals, and she's pitching. So one of my favorite hours of every day is when I come home from work, I go out in the yard and she pitches to me. I'm her right. I get a chair out because I'm getting older. I can't squat down. I sit there and I pitch her. And one thing I've discovered in doing this with her pretty much every day is over the dinner table, I ask her how her day went, how's school. She'll say, fine. Right? But if I get her out there pitching for me and playing catch, she starts talking. It's interesting. I don't know why that is, but something about being out there and playing catch, I don't know what it is. She starts talking away. So anyway, we were playing catch this morning or this afternoon, and at some point, I said, hey, we need to wrap up a little bit early. I'm going to an event tonight. And she was surprised. And the reason she was surprised is I can count on one hand the number of Friday nights in my 6.5 years as Attorney General that I've gone anywhere for work on a Friday night. I never do it. Ever, ever, ever. It has to be
Thank you guys for
very
watching.
important to me to do it. That's just a family night every single night. So when Karen, my scheduler, said, hey, you've been